Testing, testing.
Yeah, you good, Chief. I'm tending to my daughter and my family right quick. That's why I was quiet. Appreciate you.
Oh, yeah. Bruce was actually asking me to come over. He wanted to record something, I think. Was Bruce over here before?
Yeah, he was. He was a little earlier.
Okay, got it.
Damn, everybody's piling in.
Yeah, because the other space is over. This is crazy. I'm doing this shit on my desktop. I got all the features here.
Does desktop work now for X?
Yeah. It's been working for a while, but now there's more features where I can actually send requests and accept them. I just don't have the sound effects bar, I don't think.
They really need to work on the video version because that one's like not good at all. That one's pretty bad, in my opinion. Oh, what happened? Am I rugged? Did I rug? Did I rug? Good? Okay. No, I was saying the video is really the video version is very clunky with X. They need to make it where you can be able to tab out, where you can listen and tab out at the same time. Nobody's just going to sit there in the zoomed in camera and just watch, that's kind of dumb. Yeah, they need to work on that. What was going on? I was listening to the Bitcoin space earlier. These guys were talking about, it's like what, they were saying like the average person in the world only makes like $200 a day. So how are they going to pay these gas fees without on main chain, with the main chain Ethereum or main chain Bitcoin? They were trying to figure that out, but no, it really how crypto is right now, it's like very backwards. How we think of Web 2, Google, like X and people would be like, oh, they charged me $20 for email today.
Well, it's exactly how you said. It's backwards right now because it's an unregulated market and they're leading with money first, cash grab first.
Right. Yeah, everything benefits. Everybody just thinks in terms of pump my bags and bullshit, like oh yeah, the transactions are gonna burn the coins, and people just don't really see the big picture. It's all just like right now, it's just all short term. Pump my bags, not crap.
Yeah, it's crazy. Vet kept inviting me up over there, but when it comes to the bridging talk, it's hard to talk to that community because they're literally a cycle behind us. So they're just learning these bridging type shit now. So it's like anything you say that goes against the XRP ledger, it's a fucking argument when the facts are the facts. That's why I posted that thing before the space ended. Like that guy's talking about Project Mariana, how like Flare is going to be utilized. I'm like, bro, it's AVAX and Providence blockchain. Posted it right up at the top. You post that up at the top. He still goes on and on about Flare.
Flare is on Snowman, isn't it? What is it? EVM?
Oh yeah, it only uses the first part of it. It doesn't use the actual Snowman protocol. So it uses the messaging or some shit like that, not the whole protocol. So it uses the XRP ledger consensus, that Byzantine shit, with parts of Avalanche, but it's more EVM centric than anything, to be honest. It doesn't use the actual AVM Snowman protocol.
Okay, because it's supposed to be like the same thing with the X coins, right? It's supposed to be like F assets, the wrapped coins, I guess.
Well, yeah, that's their version. Yep.
So there was no model, or there was no end game where they would have unwrapped coins, right? As opposed to having a subchain model.
No, they don't have a subchain model. No, but Flare uses the Snowman plus consensus protocol from Avalanche, not the entire thing. So they also use the Byzantine fault tolerance consensus algorithm over, from XRP. So it has elements of both, AVAX and the XRP ledger, but it does not use the subnet technology that's being used in Project Mariana and all the big boy ones. Yeah, they don't use
that was hilarious. That's how he made that post. He's like, this is the Flare wallet. It's like, let's call it Flare wallet, but with X coins or something. It was the XPR wallet. There was the WebAuth. That reminds me of that meme, of the OnlyFans meme. Purple Kool-Aid was posting. Adrian was posting. It's like OnlyFans, but you only have one fan and you get married, and that reminds me exactly of what Tony was talking about with the Flare parody he did with the WebAuth. That was funny.
Yeah. So So Flare, it uses a modified version of Avalanche's consensus protocol. It only uses the Snowman plus. Then it also adds in the federated Byzantine agreement, the FBA consensus technology. And so Avalanche uses the Snowman protocol, but it's part of their consensus. They don't use the FBA. And then it also has the AVM, the Avalanche virtual machine. So it's definitely different. But Flare does not use like subnet technology. Their thing is way different than the way Metal and Avalanche create their subnets.
Right. So it's so with the Avalanche model, you wouldn't have that many wrapped coins.
Avalanche uses the virtualized instance on a subnet. It's exactly what project, Mariana's using. They're using Providence blockchain, and obviously these are just tests, but everything I'm seeing, they're using Aman's Avalanche subnet technology, because he solved the blockchain trilemma. Bitcoin was one asset, Ethereum was one asset, multiple assets with the ERC20, and then Aman and his Avalanche protocol with subnets is all of them.
And I think Digital was saying, or you were saying, somebody was saying about XDC trying to move. What were they trying to do with subnet?
Oh, well, after they had a meeting with Marshall and everyone, the very next day or the day after that, they announced subnets, that they're going to do their own subnets. XDC is really, it's like a fork of Ethereum, basically. They have both sides of it, but I think it's like 2000 TPS, if that. But yeah, they announced it. I don't know how far they got with it, but after they had the meeting with Marshall and the team, they announced that they're going to do some sort of subnets. I did not get deep into it. I didn't look. I just saw the announcement from the XDC Foundation or whatever it was. And I was like, oh, wow, interesting. Right after they have a meeting with them, now they're announcing this.
Yeah, I guess that's the new trend, or the best model right now, I guess, as opposed to having. Well, I mean, the bridges. I mean, they're seeing what's happening with the bridges, right? Even right now, there's still hacks. Like, it's never going to stop at this point. Like, it's just going to be a continuous. It's just a waiting game until some hackers find the next bug with the EVM bridges.
Yeah. So the reason why, Bitcoin, obviously revolutionary, was one chain, one asset. Ethereum was one chain, multiple assets with, ERC20. Once AVAX came around, it literally solved that trilemma. It's multiple chains, multiple assets. So that's why when you go to Avalanche or you go to Metal, you have your three primary subnets. You got your C chain, which is your modified version of EVM. You gotta accommodate EVM because it's 90% of the space. Then they got their X chain, which is exchange chain. That's where Avalanche sits or Metal sits natively. And then they got their P chain, which is their staking chain. You stake Avalanche on there or Metal on there, and that's where you create other subnets as well, or what Metal calls it, subchains.
That's what I was going to ask you about. What was the L3? So there would be a like a subnet on top of a sub. Okay, go.
All right. So the only reason why you got confused was because Avalanche calls them subnets. Metal calls them subchains. So that's why I was putting in parentheses subnets, because most of the people in the space know them as subnets because Metal's new. And so I'm trying to get in the habit when I'm talking to the Metal and the XPR community that we call them subchains. It actually makes more sense because that's what they are. When you open up your wallet in Avalanche or Metal, you have your three core chains right there, and you can atomic swap right between them. So this is why when I say it solves the trilemma, the scaling aspect is amazing because you're not leaving Metal. You have all your subchains on Metal and you're never leaving. You're not connecting to a third-party bridge in order to scale. Like sidechains, once they light up the Pierce's sidechain, they're going to have to light up a bridge from Pierce's to mainnet. With Metal or Avalanche, you do not have to do that because these chains come built in. So Metal's taking it a step further, as everybody knows, than Avalanche. They're adding a fourth primary subnet. You can add as many subnets as you want or subchains as you want, but the primary ones are your main ones that come with the chain built in. So they've taken Avalanche and they're just going to add a chain to it, and that's going to be
that's the L3.
That's the L3 because now you're taking a virtualized instance of XPR, which is EOSIO, and you're combining that seamlessly with the Snowman protocol on the subchain to create a WASM subchain. The WASM, it stands for like wrapped messaging service or whatever it is. So in theory, when people hear this, they actually think that like you're taking the actual XPR blockchain and you're putting it on a subnet. No, it's a virtualized instance of it. So once they do that, that's your fourth primary subchain. All the DeFi will be done on A chain. Why? Because it's a monster. Free transactions. You're making so many transactions in DeFi. It's got to be free. So it's free transactions on A chain. And you see all the problems, all the posting of Avalanche is going crazy right now. And all you hear about is all the problems of the transaction fees are going up and the congestion, everything's slowing down. Why is that happening? Because their DeFi is done on their C chain, which is their modified version of their EVM. So as we know, anyone ever dealt on Ethereum, it gets slow, transaction fees go up. So in order to solve that problem, Metallicus loved the Avalanche subnet technology. The only thing they needed to fix was that problem. And they identified this very problem that everyone's posting about right now because of all the activity that's going on at Avalanche. They identified this problem last DeFi summer. So like, okay, we love the chain as a base chain. We love the scalability with the subnets or subchains, whatever you want to call them. We just need to solve that problem. We have XPR, which is a monster in DeFi because it's free transactions, and EOSIO, Vitalik Buterin, calls it Ethereum on steroids. The scalability of the smart contracts to build on top of it horizontally is almost unlimited. So he calls it Ethereum on steroids. So build all your DeFi your DEX, your liquidity pools, the loan protocol that they have, their stablecoin, everything they're going to build is going to be on their smart contract monster, their EOSIO. So they're going to take that to solve AVAX's problem that they're having now with all that congestion and the transaction fees are going up. They're going to do their DeFi on A chain rather than the C chain, which is EVM and it's slow, and we know how transaction fees get. So there's never been a problem on XPR. Yes, I know there's not a lot of congestion yet and there's not a lot of end users, but it can handle it. It's 4,000 TPS right now. Once it goes to A chain, it'll be close to 10,000 TPS, but that's not the thing. We don't really care about TPS. We care about execution, meaning the time I press send and the time that it hits Fat Tony's wallet. They're getting that execution time down from 300 milliseconds to 100 milliseconds. The human brain can't even comprehend that speed. So you won't even know the difference in speed. It's going to be so fast. So between that and the free transactions, it's perfect for the DeFi chain on Metal. So now you got all these subchains and each chain is dedicated to something specific. A chain is their DeFi chain. You'll never have to worry about paying a transaction fee because it's a resource-based blockchain, meaning all the dApps on the network pay for the end user's transactions, meaning me and Fat Tony or me and Digital want to build a protocol. We buy a resource plan that fits the size of our protocol. So everyone, all the different companies as a collective that are building on the network pay those resource fees for the end users to have free transactions. So now you have an ecosystem of DeFi that's just free transactions across the board. You can handle the congestion and you're off to the races.
But yeah, just my only confusion was that. So every subchain, the alternative, you could call it L3, right?
So it's an L3 once you virtualize something on it. So right now they have the X chain and the other one. Those aren't L3s because there's nothing built on it.
Okay, so technically the C chain would be an L3 technically, right?
I mean, yeah, but it's a base modified version of EVM. They didn't really take the Ethereum blockchain and virtualize it. They're just using the EVM on a base subchain that's Avalanche, Snowman.
Right. So basically, when he says L3, he's just referring to the virtualized Bitcoin, Dogecoin, whatever, A chain. Yeah, I didn't know what he's talking about when he said layer 3. I'm like, what the heck is he doing?
Yeah.
It's very
confusing.
The terminology.
He's been saying that one for a while.
So subchain is the new layer 3, basically.
Subchain is subnet. Metal calls them subchains, and Avalanche calls them subnets. So it basically, so layer 3, you are optimizing the first layer with a second, meaning that XPR EOSIO, you're taking that layer 1 and you're optimizing it with a second layer, which is the subchain itself, the Avalanche Snowman protocol. And then it goes on to say, while utilizing a different chain's consensus, meaning EOSIO is not going to be validating the transactions anymore. Metal is going to be doing the consensus. So it's Metal blockchain with their subchains. That's how that works. Layer 3, optimize the first layer with a second while utilizing a different chain's consensus, meaning optimize that layer 1, that EVM, with a second layer, which is the subchain, while utilizing a different chain's consensus, meaning now that layer 1 is being, the consensus is being done by Metal rather than itself.
Hey, I wanted to add to Bullish, maybe make it a little bit easier to understand. So what he means by subnet and subchain, they're equal. Think of it this way. GM and Ford both have V8 engines in their cars. They just call them different names, but they're both engines in the configuration of a V8, right? The engine is in a configuration of a V, and there's 4 cylinders in each bank. It makes it a V8. So subnet and subchain are the same. It's just Avalanche calls them subnets, and Metallicus calls them subchains.
Yeah, I like subchains better. It makes more sense.
I do too, because it's the whole blockchain, you know.
Right, and
it goes with the flow. And then maybe the layer 3, this might help. So Bullish is right when he's saying it's creating an instance of a virtual machine. I don't know if you guys are familiar with computers, but like you can, if you got a computer, let's say Windows computer, right? You can create a virtual machine on it, an instance of like a Linux operating system or even a Perl operating
or your phone.
Yeah. So it's just it's a temporary instance of another blockchain. It's just virtually putting that blockchain into it, and it's not permanent. And they call it virtual. They make it so it's dynamic. It's basically to make things more interoperable on a scale ability level like never experienced before. It's super dynamic so that you can have interactions that you normally don't have to have or where you do need, but in the basic layer 1 level, there's so much hardware and software and code to interop with each other where you're generating all these different APIs. It gets very complex. Whereas if you make it virtually a temporary instance, it just makes it way more simplistic and streamlined.
Yeah, a lot of people are starting to get antsy. They're asking like, how's this going to work with A-Chain? And people ask me, are you going to be able to stake A-Chain once you migrate over? Are you going to be able to do this, that? And the best thing I can tell people is you are now on Metal blockchain. Metal is staked on the Peak chain. That's it. The consensus is being done on Metal now, guys.
It's getting, yeah, you're right, Bullish. Everybody is so used to just a simple layer one, all these years of a specific blockchain. It really doesn't do anything. And then token that goes along with it that may or may not be useful for it. And now Metallicus comes on the scene and they're dropping bombs left and right with innovative technology. And all the players that's been in the space for the last couple of years that aren't developers that just been buying and holding are confused as fuck because they haven't done any homework or research to understand all this new technology. Even like dabbling it to get a little bit of an idea. And the thing is, you don't even have to be a developer, right? It's just crack a book open and start reading. You're not going to get it the first time. You're not going to, maybe not the second or third time. It's the same thing when we were in grade school and high school and college. You didn't get the shit right away unless you were a genius, and few of us are that way. So it doesn't matter. The point is just do some research, start cracking stuff open and read and get in these spaces and ask people like Bullish or James, what is this? What does it mean? How does it work? I'm confused. I don't know what the fuck it is. Can you explain it to me?
Yeah, then they ask me like, oh, when B chain is launched and D chain is launched, how does it work if you're taking your Bitcoin and you're bringing it onto B chain, but then if you want to take your B chain Bitcoin and bring it back to the regular Bitcoin, like what happens? And I'm like, guys, even Avalanche has not done this yet. They have not taken a virtualized instance of any of the top market cap coins yet and virtualized it on one of their subnets yet. Like it has not really happened yet. So they're like, well, does it get burnt? And who holds it? Who custodies it? Blah, blah, blah. Sorry, hold on. My dog's walking.
Is everyone liking the new wallet, how it's operating?
I do. I like the charts being added to it, and I like
the charts.
Yeah,
charts are good.
Yeah, James and I was talking the other night. The only recommendation I would have is what's really cool is up top you can switch from the XPR network to the Metal blockchain, and then their test nets. I think, in my opinion, I would take the XPR network testnet out and the Metal blockchain testnet out because most users of the WebAuth wallet are just in there to see their values. They're not developers. They're not going to be messing around with it. So in my opinion, I think what would be cool is just make that a toggle button. You just press it and it toggles back and forth between the normal XPR network and the Metal blockchain. I don't think there's a reason to have the testnet in there. But
hey,
I mean,
Bullish or Bruce, tell Marshall or somebody that when you check the chart in the WebAuth, it's not changing. So like the 1 day and like the 1 week, it's saying the same percentage. It doesn't change percentage of what it's supposed to be, you know?
Wait, you said what the chart? Say
so
it again,
like go to the price chart and then like click like 1 year for like XPR. It shows we're down 1.15%. And then if you would click like the 1 hour, it says the same percent. And then like the 1 day, the same percent. 1 week.
Okay, so they're not the year's percentage on each one is not changing. You're saying, right?
Yeah, I'm just looking at that now.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'll let them know.
Oh, you want to?
All right, sweet.
Good feedback, man. He always wants that from the community. Even little things like that. They're always head down working. So, and they're always trying to ask the community like what's going on? What do you think? What do you see? So things like that helps. So.
Yeah. So a lot of people still don't realize that the price chart is in there as well. Anyway, with the assets, they're not on every asset, but on the Metallicus ones they are.
Hey everyone, hope everyone's doing real good today. It's a beautiful day here on the Gold Coast, just below Bruce's place. I noticed that too. I figured it was the numbers give you the most up to date for 24 hours, and then the graph just shows you kind of where it has been up and down over that period. So, yeah, that's how I took it. But yeah, that's a good point that you can. It'd be good to see like if it was up 2% today, but last month it's up 5%, and that would change. That'd be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Is anybody speaking? I can't hear anything. Looks like they are.
Oh, you're good. Go ahead.
You're speaking, Coca. Can you hear us?
I can now. For some reason, the volume turned itself off. What's going on there?
You drinking again?
Nope. You?
No.
No.
No. Well, that's a no all round.
Digital, last space, I heard you talking about the Zahal thing. And is XRP Labs, are they behind it, do you think? Is that what you're alleging? Or is that what is happening? Just off topic really quick.
It's my opinion. This is my speculation. Same thing when we did our research a year ago. Like KYC, oh my God. Going into KYC and funneled into it, right? Happened. What I'm seeing right now, when I look at this 40,000 foot, my speculation, XRPL and XRP is dead. Ripple is in so much shit. It's old fucking tech, 13 years old. Nobody's doing anything with it. And they had to fork it. And they're doing it slowly but surely without really telling people what's going on. In my opinion, they're going to try to get the XRP holders to switch over to the Zahao ledger because they got smart contracts and more functionality.
Yeah, Labs is behind it.
So why are they not doing a snapshot? They're so fucking greedy, man. Oh my God.
Because they don't care. It's all been a big cash grab from since day one. People just don't see it.
So this whole thing with with this whole narrative with like the rogue validators is just a freaking fugazi.
Yeah, that's why I say I don't think the AMM will even pass.
No, it's definitely going to pass by 2024. This is how the process works. I don't know if you've ever watched the process before, but it's always no up until 82% because the validators are coming into compliance and updating their tech and figuring everything out. Same thing happened with the freaking NFT one. It was no until they finally hit over 82%. This is one of their biggest amendments ever. I'm sure it'll pass. Will it be successful? No, they're fucking 5 years too late. They're the first ones to have a DEX in this whole space, and they still don't have an AMM. Every chain that came after them has an AMM. Like Digital was saying, it's definitely a cash grab for sure.
So if they were just doing, so what they're doing is just doing, if they are doing a straight up fork, then they should just do a snapshot. They shouldn't be freaking just starting up the whole new, it's screwed up, man.
No, they're trying to get them to burn
right, have their cake and eat it too. So they still got their,
oh, right.
So they just make more supply on the Zahao side, and they use the retail burn to mint in order to create value for that new token and all the founders who have 9 billion.
So why aren't they clarifying it then?
What do you mean?
They're keeping people in like a
why would they clarify it, bro?
It's
literally a secret in plain sight. If they're creating this brand new supply with the XAH token, and if you want it, you got to burn your XRP in order to get it. They're creating value for that new token, and all the founders who have 9 billion each or more are rich overnight.
Yeah, it's a circus, man. Straight up circus.
So why doesn't the
Why do you think the wallet's rebranding from Exum to Zahao shit, XAH, whatever it is? Weedsy is leading this. And XRP Labs is behind it as well. But we see the guy who made Exum, he's leading this charge. And why do you think he's rebranding his wallet from an XRP centric one to the Zahao one? Rebranded the name to be just like Zahao.
So why can't the XRP community people, not the sheep? Why can't they do?
Is everybody echoing, or is it just Coca?
I think it was Coca.
Coca's been drinking too much. Hey, real quick, Bullish, this is what I think. I don't think, like what you said about the AMM maybe passing, but being never really turning into anything useful. I didn't think about that way. That is definitely plausible. But my thought is, I don't think it'll even pass. Or if it does, it never amount to anything. And the reason why is because when FinCEN, or was it CFTC, I always forget which one it was, smacked them in 2015 and told them from here on out, everything Ripple makes has to be KYC and AML.
They implemented it in their wallet, KYC. Also, Sol was trying to use the DEX and he couldn't. They locked him out. He's from New York.
Ripple doesn't have a wallet.
That's what I'm saying. Exum, whatever it is, they incorporated KYC. So when you go to use this AMM, you're going to have to KYC. Sol is from New York. He just tried to use the DEX, and he's usually allowed to on the Bitstamp thing, and they said no to him now. He can't use it because he's from New York. What the point I'm trying to make is, I used to be able to use it too. So did Sol. Now that he tried it, they're taking the features away. It's all KYC now until they come into compliance in New York on a decentralized exchange. This is why I wrote that to them in the other space, and I went up there. I'm like, how do you guys not see this? Your own DEX is going to be KYC. And if they're not compliant in that state or whatever the hell it is, you're not going to be able to use it. Why do you think he brought it out?
What DEX are you talking about? What wallet are you talking about? Ripple doesn't make shit. It's all third party.
I know. We're talking about the AMM, and we're talking about the Exum wallet that's soon to be rebranded to Zahao wallet or whatever.
Oh,
yeah. When you try to use that in New York now, you used to be able to use the XRP Ledger DEX through like Bitstamp IOU and shit, but you can't. Even on the XRP Toolkit, the third party one. What I'm saying is, you're right. Like they're coming with KYC even on this old ass DEX.
So the more compliant they get, the more fucked XRP holders get. You gotta love it. And this is just one part of why I think they're transmutating or switching or transitioning over into this Zahao network, because in the background they won't come out and say it, but XRPL is 13 years old, antiquated junk they can't do nothing with. So they got to figure out something to do. And they know that there's tons. I mean, look at the market cap value of XRP. There's a lot of money there, and they know that they got to make something for people to get into, but they have to very carefully, very methodically massage a message into convincing people to move from the XRPL to the Zahao network.
Without crashing the price or spooking people or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Somehow they got to make up new riddles or do something, to get
the
coils in there.
So this space is being recorded. and everybody bookmark it, on this date, December 17th, 2023, the Proton boys made another prediction that's going to come true in 6 months to a year, just like we told everybody about KYC and DID, right? Look, we said when announced Ripple 2.0 version software coming out was going to have DID on it. And I remember a year ago, MetaMan and Slime Balls, all those stupid fucking idiot kids laughing at us going, none of that shit matters. None of that shit matters. Who cares about that, man? Metallicus is bankrupt, blah, blah, blah. Fucking morons. Everybody, we said it a long time ago and I'll say it again. If your shit is not KYC, AML, being compliant to all the regs out there, existing regs in place for normal banking and future regs coming out, and believe me, they're going to have the same ones as the normal banking because trade blended with DeFi. If it's not compliant, you're going to be holding turds. It ain't going to be valued for nothing because it's going to be useless. You're not going to be able to play it in the sandbox with all the regs and the compliant products and solutions. So you better have your blockchain, your digital asset, your lending, your DEX, your wallet, whatever you use blockchain and digital asset wise. If it's not compliant now and it's not no plan in the future, or if you don't find a way to get it into a compliant system, let's say Bitcoin, for example, there's a survival path for Bitcoin. If you move it into the Metallicus system, because you got a KYC when you make a wallet, a WebAuth wallet, or if you move it in the DEX, you got a KYC in the DEX. If you move it into a compliant system, ecosystem, that's the only survival path for your blockchain and your digital asset. Other than that, it's fucking useless. You might as well get rid of it now and just play by the rules, because the same get a big fucking wall built around it, and that's how it's going.
Yeah, bro. Even XRP Terminator down there in the listener, he even brought up, I even forgot about this, to the point about KYC, even on this old-ass ledger. They're also coming out with XLS40D, which is DIDs. So everyone is going through this same process led by Metallicus, who already has it done for over a year now. Fully KYC DID coming out on the XRP ledger.
And free. KYC don't cost you shit in the Metallicus ecosystem. Yet we send when, and them brilliant minds over at Zoom, whatever, Zaman wallet, they're charging to KYC. Are you fucking for real?
You need to generate revenue for that wallet. They got no money. He'll be good. It'll be free after they finally launch the burn the mint and they all get their big paydays. Then you'll see, it's free now, guys.
Fun times ahead. Anyways, bookmark it. 6 months to a year from now, you'll be seeing people exiting out of XRPO into the Zaho network. That's the backup plan.
And the trend you're going to see now, I keep saying it, is decentralized exchanges KYCing. The big dog of all big dogs, Uniswap, they're about to implement KYC on their exchange too. Then everyone will turn their heads and really start paying attention to us, because we've been saying this for over a year. Everyone will always be like, what are you talking about? It's a decentralized exchange. That doesn't even make sense to have to KYC and do all this. It's coming. If the big dogs are doing it, what does that tell you? It's coming. Decentralized. I know it's an oxymoron, KYCing AML on a decentralized exchange. Yes, that's an oxymoron. It's right in the wording, but it's coming. This is the next trend. Even Core, I was reading their soon to come bullshit. They are decentralized. They're making you KYC just to use their decentralized exchange as well. Dark Horse even tried it through GitHub, and he's from the United Kingdom, whatever. It said something like you can't use it because you're from Australia, United Kingdom, whatever it is. They're KYCing these DEX. So
I just wanted to extend on something that Digital said, and correct me if I'm wrong. But let's just say that theory of the whole Zaho thing, they're massaging it, they're easing people into it, and they're going to bring people across slowly. There's going to be a point of one or two things will happen. It will completely fucking fail and fall apart, or there will be such a mass exodus from XRP to Zaho that some people are going to get left behind. And then XRP is going to be worth, well, I'm not going to say zero, but it's not going to be worth what it is now. And it's certainly not going to be worth $10,000 or $50,000. There's going to be a point where the whole thing turns left or turns right.
Can you guys hear me?
Gotcha. Finally.
Sweet. Okay, so I've heard a lot of talk across a lot of different communities today on XSpaces about congested networks, high fees, and not being able to transact like normal. And this just is like a weird, ironic thing going on. And I wanted to see how you guys felt about it, what you're thinking, because even the Dogecoin community is having problems with their ordinals. They either like them or they don't like them, or they absolutely hate them. But that's what I had to bring to the table tonight.
Well, that's what, we talked about that in the beginning of this space. I mean, that's the whole reason for a chain. Avalanche is experiencing a major growth spurt right now, and everyone is using this network for their shitcoins and all these new projects that are coming out. But the problem with Avalanche is they do all their DeFi on their C chain, which is their modified version of their EVM. It cannot handle it, so the transaction fees go way up. When Metallicus was scoping out this technology in Avalanche, they identified that problem last bull run during the DeFi summer. This exact problem happened in the bull run for AVAX, and this is what you're seeing. I know you said Dogecoin too, and their own Bitcoin, their ordinals and stuff, but what you're seeing on your feed right now with all these transaction fees on AVAX, it's because they're transacting and they're doing their DeFi on their EVM chain, their EVM subnet, which is their C chain, just like ours. Metal has a C chain too. However, Metallicus is building all the DeFi on XPR right now. And when it migrates to A chain, it will all be free transactions, 100 milliseconds from when you press send to go to someone else's wallet or to transact in that DeFi pool or that execute a trade, 100 milliseconds, because it's all being done on a chain that actually can handle it. Vitalik calls EOS.io Ethereum on steroids for a reason. He's not going to go and praise the competition in another blockchain if he really didn't mean it. So Metallicus was very strategical and very methodically thought this out when they were scoping out AVAX. They loved it for the foundational layer and the subnet technology so that they can build all these different ecosystems on different subchains or subnets, whatever you want to call them. So the DeFi chain will be the chain that can actually handle it, and that's EOS.io's technology. They're taking it one step further, and they are seamlessly integrating EOS.io with the Snowman protocol, because that's what comes with Metal blockchain, the AVM, the Avalanche Virtual Machine. Metals is the MVM, the Metal Virtual Machine. So they are combining the two seamlessly to create a WASM subnet, which is WASM stands for like wrapped messaging service or whatnot. They're
Web assembly script.
there you go.
Multilingual.
There you go. And you need free transactions when you're transacting in DeFi. You don't want these transaction fees going up. You don't want congestion. The reason why they're making it so fast to execute a transaction is because of what's happening right now on AVAX. All the congestion and all the transaction fees are going up. So they are building each subchain purpose-driven, specifically for specific things. A chain's a DeFi monster. C chain will be to be able to transact with the existing Ethereum community, bring them into the ecosystem, as well as their layer 2 that they're building on Ethereum. X chain comes standard with Metal. That is their exchange chain. That's where Metal was. That's where Metal was born. That's where Metal lives. The X chain. P chain is where you're going to do all your staking of Metal and or create other subchains. So they're purpose-driven building this ecosystem with Metal. Metal is good for a specific reason. XPR is good for a specific reason. Metal is your foundational layer. It's your land. It's the United States. All the different states are the different subchains with ecosystems inside of them.
Hey, Bullish, do you know much about the Antelope section? Leap 5 coming, been updated? You know much about that?
You're talking about the upgrade that Aman and his crew are pushing? I've not looked into the new upgrade yet. No. When is AVAX pushing that?
Antelope's up. Leap 5 is anytime soon, like nowish. I mean, it could be 3 or 4 weeks yet, but should be supposed to be happening now. And it gives instant finality. Marshall and them will be updating with that as well.
Yeah. Usually after AVAX pushes an upgrade, Metal comes like a couple weeks after with their certain tweaks to it as well. Just like the cross subnet messaging that came out last month.
But the speed is going to be horrific. Yeah.
Yeah, and Bruce, I think that's I was going to clarify, Bullish. It's the Antelope is EOS Leap, not the AVAX. So I'm wondering if they're waiting to release A chain after Leap 5. There's been some talk about maybe that's a possibility, but we'll have to wait and see.
I think so. Yeah. Because that needs to be introduced first into the code.
So basically it's true frictionless payment, seamless, and a lot of the issues that we're seeing across the different networks, it's just not a problem because it's been solved at the core. Like the core problems have been solved, and XPR allows the lubrication of the friction that's built up.
Yep.
Yeah, AVAX is also working on a subchain to have free transact. They're working on this problem that they're having on C chain now.
Well, still, it's great news. I'm really excited to see what Antelope does. I would like to see that asset in the WebAuth. Exciting times ahead. That's how I see it. And I really like where the chains are at on the wallet in the WebAuth. I like that because I can go over to the Metal chain and see what I have staked and what's going on over there. Now, I am curious, do I need to engage in anything else in order to fulfill that contract? Because I believe that the contract, that staking, the Metal staking, I'm not sure what I'm missing there and if you guys have any input on that.
Well, what do you mean contract? So when you open your WebAuth wallet, you have your 3 primary subnets right there. So you have your P chain where you stake, you got your X chain where Metal sits, exchange chain, and then C chain, which is your EVM. Soon you'll have one more, A chain, when it's ready and they finally do the migration. So your question was when you're staking Metal,
Yeah, do I need to be providing any resources to the node that I picked?
What do you mean resources?
Yeah, I don't know. I read a post somewhere from a really weird account, and maybe I'm just off on a wrong track, but it was saying that if I'm staking, that I would need to be engaged in some activity in order to make sure that I don't forfeit that stake.
Oh, they just mean like when you pick a validator. Like if you were to pick Coca to stake to, or James, any of the validators in the Metal network.
Correct. But the Metal, not XPR.
Correct. Yep.
I was listening to the Bitcoin community talk, and you know, some of the things that they were discussing about like just cryptocurrency in a whole is like, what do you do with it after you have it in a wallet? And there's a lot of different things going on, but I don't see anything like Metallicus as far as that's concerned. Being able to send bullish 0.000023 Bitcoin instantly. I can't find that anywhere else, which is really cool. But a lot of the problems that even the Bitcoin community was talking about, Metallicus says it's solved. I don't know what the hang up is with everyone and being scared away from the custody thing. I think the custody thing scares a lot of people away. But even then, like if you have a use case that you need or that's having a problem and you need that solved, I don't know why people would stop from going in the Metallicus ecosystem. It just doesn't make sense.
Well, because you gotta. So psychology, it plays a big factor in this. Subconsciously, you're getting hit for years now from every angle. YouTube, Google, everything is designed to favor the XRP, Ethereum, Bitcoin, blah, blah, blah. And when that's hitting you from all these different angles subconsciously, over and over and over and over, you don't even realize it sometimes. It's hitting you subconsciously. Then when you factor in the years of holding and waiting for that special moment, and it still hasn't happened yet, and you're working your ass off each week, and you're getting your paycheck, and you're putting it in your special assets, at the same time, psychological wise, you're getting hit from all these different angles, just driving the home, XRP, 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 and it's hitting you and it's hitting you. Plus you're married to that bag. At some point you get to when all these other new things come out like Metallicus and this and that, there's a lot of scams out there too. So they're weary to even take the time to look into it. At the same time, subconsciously, they're married to their bag. So logic and emotions need to be separated when you're dealing in this space. And you need to just think logically, and you need to actually move your fingers and actually do a little research into it. Test things out. You don't need to put in $1 million. You just $5-10, play around in the ecosystem, learn the tech, then make your decision. Tech is never going to stop. It's always going to keep evolving. Everything's going to keep getting better and better and better. But these people are sitting on 13-year-old chains. They're getting amendments that all these other chains have gotten years ago, and they're just finally catching up. And that subconsciously is creating exit a lot of hopium for them because they're getting all these new things that all these other chains gotten already and have already played with, but they're getting for the first time. So they think it's some crazy innovation, crazy AMMs coming to the SRP, like all these things. They don't even realize that this stuff has already been out for years. So the psychology of it, subconscious of it, getting hit from all angles 24/7, the years that these people have put in waiting and working their asses off every week to keep putting into their favorite asset all plays a major part on their psyche and their emotions. So for them to even open up and look into these new ecosystems is a lot for them because one, they're on guard because of all the scams they keep hearing over and over. They just chalk it up. Oh, it's just another scam. But since we've been doing this for over a year now, we've been driving this stuff home, and we're still here, and we're still innovating. Marshall and the team is still innovating. It's slowly starting to happen. I'm starting to see it because the regulation narrative is starting to hit them harder and harder, and they know subconsciously that these, and I'm using my fingers right now, quote unquote, proton gay boys, they have us subconsciously in their heads, and they're starting to realize like, oh, they've been saying this for a year now. Like, look, all this stuff is starting to come out. So they're like slowly starting to look into the ecosystem. It's happening with the cycles. I know I always go back to that, but slowly but surely, everyone's starting to come around with the cycles. You know what I mean? So it's a lot on their psyche exit. It really is. I understand where you're coming from. I agree with you. But, you know, a lot of people don't have the ability to separate emotion from logic. I mean, things that have never been done before are about to happen in this ecosystem. Taking Antelope, you know, from EOSIO and just seamlessly integrating that onto a metal subchain. Like these things have never been done before. Never. And there has not been a hiccup yet. Correct me if I'm wrong, Digital, but there has been no hiccups with Metallicus, with regulations. They're not on the radar because they're buttoned up. And they've been buttoned up. It's a slower start the way Marshall did it because it turns a lot of people off, you know, KYC and all this stuff. But slow and steady wins the race, and you're starting to see the curve come around that corner right now.
You're right, Bullish. I agree with you. The only thing that, in terms of regs and compliance, that they faced some challenges was early on years ago when Brian Brooks, of all people, if you don't know who Brian Brooks is, go learn who he is. I love that guy. When he was helping them get their national money transmission license, right, through FDIC. And I don't think he was on the board. I think it was just like a counsel or guidance with them. But Brian was helping them with that, and FDIC and some other associations, banking associations, said, nope, you can't do it nationally. You got to do it state by state. And that's why they went and got state licenses for all but like 2 left, New York and